We're going to talk about a baddie today, okay? This is La Anima Sola. If you're unfamiliar with this spirit, we're going to get a little bit more familiar with her today. So, before we get into a little bit more about La Anima Sola as a spirit, um, I will first just let you know that you can look in the description box below. I have a storefront. I'm also briefly temporary offering readings for the upcoming new year. So, you can check that out in the link below. In the description box, I also have a podcast and social media. If you want to follow me, you can see me on whatever stuff I have in the description box. Also, I'm going to give a warning as a lot of the spirits that I'm going to start talking about and transitioning to, especially, with La Santa Muerte, these are not beginner friendly spirits, I guess I would say. Even, doing archangel work, a lot of people don't realize working with the spirit, it takes a lot. I've been in this, and I say it all the time, I've been in this field for many years, over a decade. So, a lot of the stuff that I want to touch on or talk about will be, I guess, a little bit more of an advanced practice. So, if you're just here because you're interested to know about it, I'm, happy to. If you have any comments, you can definitely, leave them below. I'm more than happy to reach out and respond to any questions that you have. Also, I like to touch on spirits that are not talked about too much primarily. These are heavier spirits. Um, so I think they need some light shine on them. And I'm just going to drop some information about them, what the purpose is, or if you decide to work with them, if you feel that they're calling to you, maybe this video came across to you because you needed to hear this information. And lastly, I will never recommend you summoning or working with something unless you plan to have a lifelong relationship with that spirit, that entity, that being. A lot of spirits require space, alter space. If you work with them, you ask them, for something, it's more than likely they're going to want something in return. Even being a devotee to La Muerte, she expects you to do stuff. She expects you to take care of her. She expects you to honor and devote yourself and your time to her. So just keep in mind that is many other spirits. She's not the only spirit who can be high maintenance, and some of these spirits that I'm going to talk about are going to be high maintenance. And I'm going to get into a little bit more, but I just have to put that disclaimer because it's very important that if you decide to work with someone or something that that you devote yourself to it, that it is something that is forever and it's not just temporary or fun, or for because it seems like it's fun to summon something or to work with something. So yeah, let's hop into it. So, La Anima Sola comes from the cult of souls in purgatory. Also, please don't mind, I did jot some notes down. But she comes from the cult of the souls in purgatory, and it's a tradition that's pretty old. It began in the 1600s, and people would pray to human skulls to release, spirits who were trapped in purgatory. They pray for them so that they can be released, so that their soul, their spirit can cross over. So Anima Sola is a part. She's not like a part of that cult, but she belongs to the devotion of it. I am not too familiar with the masculine energy. I am familiar with the feminine energy of La Anima Sola. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the cult aspects. I'm going to get more into the spiritual aspects of this particular spirit. So, La Anima Sola, her day is All Souls Day, which is the Day of the Dead, um, around that time. So, she's a very low maintenance spirit. I will say that. And what I mean by low maintenance is she doesn't really require much on her altar. But she is also a very powerful and strong spirit. She is not something that you just conjure and you throw away and you just do not work with her anymore. Um, there are counterparts to La Anima Sola, or there are, I guess, spirits that are synchronized with her in other pantheons or other cults and religions, like in Santeria and also in Voodoo. However, I would not personally work with those spirits unless I am initiated. So I'm saying that for you. If you are not initiated, I would not go looking to work with those spirits, because if they don't recognize you, it can be something to harm you. Some of those spirits have been known to cause death to other people. So it's just don't go knocking on doors and opening up stuff if you know you are not a devotee of that practice, or if you are not initiated, or if you are not called to that practice, right? A lot of people think that when you're being told to not work with a particular spirit, some people think it's like, oh, you're gatekeeping. No, it's literally for your safety. So we're just going to talk about the cult of purgatory souls, or La Anima Sola, which is part of that cult. Now, with that being said, La Anima Sola, the only offering typically that is given to her is water, is a cup of water, and a candle. Red is her color. You can also use a white candle to pray to her. But she is the kind of spirit that you would go to for, they call her the love and tranquil. So keep in mind, La Anima Sola, it translates to the lonely soul. So she's a purgatory spirit, and the story of her, which you'll see many different versions of why she ended up in purgatory. One was because when Jesus Christ was being crucified, they said supposedly she denied him water. There's another story that the reason why, and she was crucified because of that. And there's another story that she was giving water to prisoners and tending to them, and she shouldn't have been doing that, like caring to them. And I definitely feel like that might be more so of the energy she was caring for people, and she was being empathetic. And because she was doing that to prisoners and people who they felt that deserved, didn't need that, care that she was giving, they executed her. So she was never able to ascend to heaven. So her realm is obviously purgatory, where all the lost souls, all the sinners, all people who committed crimes, she is stuck down there with them. La Anima Sola is an intrinsic spirit. Do not confuse her with la mágica, oh my God, I'm stuttering. La mágica de Intranquilo. So she is not related or in the realm of intranquil magic. That is not the same thing. It's very similar, but it is not the same thing. If you go to a botanica and you see those velas de intranquilos, the intranquil candles, that is not the same as working with La Anima Sola. Those are two completely different practices, and I will talk about La Mágica de Intranquilo, doing intranquil work, and I will also talk about Anima Sola. Those are two completely different things. With La Anima Sola, you can go to her because she is the love and tranquil. She can help summon a lover to you. She's also good for doing revenge work, justice work, protection, and also money. So typically, there are spirits for certain realms. There are spirits that you're going to use for certain works, or trabajo for work, spiritual work. You're going to go to that spirit. La Santa Muerte is capable of doing all kinds of work, right? So you will go to her, you can ask her anything, but you will work with a specific robe color that is going to assist you with the work that you need to do. It's the same with La Anima Sola. It's the same with any spirit that you're summoning, which is why you might find there's more than one spirit in your court, because you might have one for protection, you might have one for justice, you might have one for love, you might have one for, money. I don't know. It depends. You will have different spirits in your court that's going to assist you with what you need, whether it's at a time or just in general, right? With La Anima Sola, she's not just specific to, they call her the love and tranquil. Um, I have also known her spirit to be capable of causing dissolutions in relationships. So she can also be summoned to break people up, to destroy a marriage, to destroy a relationship. That is something that she's also capable of doing. So she is not the kind of spirit that is just, good for one thing. Like if you go to Archangel Michael Belibekan, you're going to get some very good protection and justice work done. Those are good spirits to do that. La Anima Sola has a little bit more of a broad library of things that she is capable of doing. So, like I had mentioned, working with La Anima Sola, she is an intrinsic spirit. The reason why I am stressing that is because within intrinsic spirits are wandering souls. Her energy does not feel very light. She has a very heavy, very dark, very hot energy. If you are somebody who is sensitive to energy, there are some people who they can work an altar and they don't feel the spirit walking around or working around them or, near them. But if you're somebody who is very sensitive to energy, what she feels like is a very heavy spirit, a very hot spirit. It makes you feel very emotional, like you want to cry, overwhelming, and it almost feels like someone trying to wring you by the back of your neck, but they can't touch you. But you can feel the energy of somebody trying to grab you behind your neck. And you can feel like the hairs and everything raised. You might also feel at the back of your neck some pain, some tightness in the back of your neck whenever she's around trying to work with you. You'll also notice that's a very similar energy to in tranquils. Now, with La Anima Sola, because she's a purgatory spirit burning in hell, or burning in purgatory, right? Her image is a woman coming out of fire, like begging. I'll show you the picture again. But she's like, begging to be saved. She's chained in chains, um, in shackles. But you have to understand the spirit. Yes, her energy is hot. She feels this way because where she's located, right? Where her realm is, which is purgatory, it's not going to be a spirit that feels that great. A lot of people get scared or nervous when they do this work because when you first interact with the spirit and you start feeling what they feel or you feel how they feel, it can be very scary because you think they're going to hurt you, they're going to harm you, even if they're in your court. And it is a thing you have to understand and get used to. This is not going to be a very pleasant feeling when you're working with this spirit because of her location, because of where she is in the spiritual realm, in her element, right? So it's very important to understand that this is how she will feel. This is how she's going to manifest when she comes to you. You're going to feel a lot of pain. You might feel sorrow and misery when you are conjuring her up or when you are summoning her. But there's a representation, right? This is a woman who is burning up and she is in chains. Her purpose here is also for freedom, to also release you from something. She made a sacrifice. She sacrificed her life so that she was able to assist others in whatever it is that they need. It was a very selfless act for her to sacrifice her life to make sure that those who needed water, those who needed something, who were, suffering because they were in prison or whatever the case is, they were, or imprisoned. She sacrificed her life so that they had something, so they can have water. So that's why she doesn't ask for that much. It's literally a cup of water that you put on her altar. You can buy a statue. You can buy flowers, red roses, red flowers. You can do that kind of stuff, but she doesn't really ask for much. A prayer card, a devotional card. You can do that, but she is, I would say, a very loyal spirit to also work with as well. And I would say a lot of spirits, as long as you devote yourself to them and they see that you're serious about working with them, they will be loyal to you for the most part. But she is a spirit where she doesn't have a very pleasant presence while she's around you. A lot of people think that just because a spirit is around you, it's going to feel good or you're going to feel like they're welcoming you. Or I hear a lot of people talk about La Santa Muerte, like, oh, she feels so great when she's around. I've had instances with La Santa Muerte, depending on whatever coat I was summoning, where it was terrifying to me because the energy was just radiating. It was so heavy, so dark. And I'm energetically sensitive, and it took up the whole room. Like, I'm talking about, like, even, I just can't even explain the feelings that I felt when that spirit had came in, when that manifestation or coat came in. So, I've also, spoke with other devotees who work with other spirits, which I'm going to start talking also about demons, talking about the lesser keys of Solomon and also the Conjure Codex. Those are very good necromancer books. So if you're a necromancer and you're interested in working with certain kinds of spirits and you're just kind of trying to get into it and understand, you should definitely look into Conjure Codex. You should definitely be doing your research before you jump into doing this kind of work. But like Anima Sola, when she comes to you, it is not a very pleasant energy. It literally feels like, the hairs on the back of your neck are standing up and somebody's trying to like touch you. And I feel like in a way she's trying to grab you, but she can't. But it's also one of those things where you have to be mindful of doing this kind of work. When you're summoning these kind of spirits, you should always be clean before, you should always be clean after when you work with these spirits, just because they're so hot, and because of the realm that they're in. Anima Sola, because she is in purgatory, she will be known to be, when she comes in, she can bring other spirits with her, or there will be other spirits around her, or she might attract a certain kind of spirit, other purgatory spirits, other intranquil spirits. So it's just, you have to be not only an advanced practitioner or just very mindful when you're doing your practice. You have to start somewhere, of course, but also just spiritual hygiene and upkeep is very important. Understanding that when something feels off, you're doing your head cleanses or you're doing your spiritual baths. She's a very amazing spirit to work with, but it's just you have to be very mindful of certain things. I also recommend, if you end up having an altar in your house, making sure she has a little space for herself so that she knows. A lot of spirits, what people don't understand is if you don't put an altar in your house for a spirit, they will wander around the house. I've had that happen plenty of times where spirits wander around the house because they had no place to go. And they're like, hey, lady, I'm trying to work with you. I'm trying to help you here. And they're just going to wander around. And the energy feels scary because you feel that energy throughout the whole house. When they know they have a resting place, they will go to their altar and they will rest. And when you're ready to wake them up, they know to wake up and, come out of the altar and do the work that it is that you need. But it's just one of those things where just be mindful, be very careful with your practice, and be very clean. I cannot stress it enough when you work with those kind of spirits, very, very clean. When it comes to doing love spells, I'm not somebody who particularly do love spells. I don't recommend doing love spells. I don't love love spells. I actually hate them. I do a lot of cleansing work and a lot of healing work. So I remove those off of people for the most part. I remove intranquil spirits and intranquil work off of people. That's kind of like my forte, doing exorcisms. But remember, if you're doing that kind of work with La Anima Sola, make sure you are just cleansing yourself. If you are doing, even if you're doing domination work, even if you're doing justice work, even if you're doing revenge work with her, make sure that you are just staying clean during your practice. Make sure you are bathing yourself before and you are bathing yourself after, taking like a calming bath, using mint, using basil, cascarilla. You can put it in some cold water, mash up your herbs, and then you can, get it over your head because it might start making you feel agitated. That's also another thing when working with these hot spirits or working with spirits who are a little bit heavier and darker. They can make you feel agitated. They can make you feel angry when their energy is around. The Lawaz particularly known for doing that. The Petro Loa, they are very, very known for making you feel very hot and agitated, or even working with like jabs or gats and voodoo. They are very known for making you feel hot. That is how Anima Sola will make you feel also. Sometimes you can take on the personality of the spirit depending on how sensitive you are. So when they're around, they might make you feel hot. They might make you feel emotional, especially if she's a burning woman. You're going to feel very emotional when she first comes in. Until you start getting used to it, until you start building up your hygiene practice, you might feel that. Um, but with that being said, I think that's what I'm going to kind of wrap it up towards. If you decide to do a feast day for her, like I said, she doesn't really ask for much. You can always ask your spirit if there's something that they would like, and you can even be specific. Tell them, hey, if there's something that you want, let me know in my dream. And they typically will come to you in a dream and tell you what they want, or show you what they want, or give you a sign. Um, but she's not a spirit who asks for much. She really doesn't. Her cup, it's usually a cup of water and just an altar space so that she's able to do her work. Um, But yeah, any questions, you can go ahead and leave a comment below. And I will definitely answer it as soon as I can. I'm going to come back with a lot of other videos. I've had other people talking about, they want to talk more about La Santa Muerte, but I also feel like there's other things that I want to touch on. Um, but yeah, I will talk to you soon. And I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in and listening to me. And yeah, I hope y'all have a great day, great night, wherever you are. You are so appreciated. Mwah. Ciao. I'll talk to you later.